Hello and welcome to this Tuts Plus series Tumblr Theming 101. In this episode we're going to look to add options to our theme to enable or disable certain features. To do this we're going to be using the Boolean appearance options. I've also referred to them as ifs or checkboxes. The first thing we need to do is we need to go back to the theme documentation and we're just going to take a closer look at Booleans. Now, as I said in a previous video, the Booleans act differently to all the other appearance options. As in, an appearance option itself is more like a custom variable where we define what type of appearance option it is with a prefix and then we give that a name. With Booleans, they act like blocks. So in this case, or in this example, what they've done is they've stated that this is a Boolean and the Boolean name is show people I follow. Notice that there are spaces so that on the customized screen it comes up with spaces. Then they've created a block, so block and it's prefixed with an if to match up with this meta up here, and then show people I follow. Now notice how the spaces have been removed and the capitalization, the letters have been capitalized even. So that's just one little gotcha that you need to be aware of, that if you're using these Booleans, you'll need to remove the spaces and you'll need to use a capital letter for each new word or each separate word. Now, Booleans, as I mentioned before, have two states, off and on, or 0 and 1. So 0 is off and 1 is on. So what this is essentially doing is, if we show people I follow, which is currently set to 1 or on, we would like a div with the ID of following. Now, what I want to do in this episode is I want to apply this Boolean appearance options to these features in the footer. So I want to make it so a user or yourself can turn on or off the like button, the reblog button, the date, the notes, and the tag. So to get started, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to go to this place called theme options. I'm just going to put in theme Boolean options to match the other wordings I've used to make it clear. I'm going to ignore the Twitter one for the time being because I'm going to cover that later on, and I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to do meta name equals, and now again it's prefixed with if, so it's going to be a block, and then I'm going to do like post button, and then I'm going to set the content to 1 because that's how it is on the theme currently. Now I'm just going to go down to the markup where we actually include the like button, which is here, and then I'm going to do the following: block if like if so we'll just call it if post like button. Now I'm going to prefix these all with post because then we know that it's specific to a post, and then just close it. So block if post like button, like so. Now if we take that and put that into the HTML editor and then go back, and if we scroll down, as you can see now, like post button. Now if we turn this off, nothing happens. Okay, so we've got the word in the wrong way around. So just need to reword this to post like button. Take that. See, even when you've been doing this several times, you still make mistakes. And then click save. Okay, so let's see if this works this time. So let's turn post like button off. And as you can see now, the heart has disappeared. Now I'm just going to click a save, and I'm just going to see what's going on there. I've got a funny feeling this is because of the way we wrote the CSS with the absolute positioning, so we'll fix that at the same time. Just wait for Tumblr to... Okay, so as you can see... Oops. These refreshes, the caching sometimes can be a bit troublesome, so let's go to page 2. Okay, so as you can see now, the button's move is dissipated, but we still have this in the wrong place. So what we'll do is we're going to quickly fix that. So first we need to go to our CSS. And we're going to do the same sort of thing as we did for the notes and the date. So initially what we'll do is we'll set these both to 0 like so. And then, remember as we did with the notes and the date, we use the plus here. So we'll post footer like button plus reblog button. Really are all fingers and thumbs today. Like so, and then we're just going left 30 pixels. So now our CSS will set both of these initially to 0, but if there is the two of them, it will then move the reblog button 30 pixels. So let's take all of that, put it into the editor. And then just do refresh. And as you can see now, the reblog button's moved. And if we go back and we enable the post like button, oops, click save. Okay, so obviously it's taken a bit longer to update than I expected, but as you can see now, these two buttons are in the correct place. And again, if we take it off, the reblog button moves. Now, again, you could probably rework your CSS a little bit more. So where we set padding here, we could actually do something along the lines of post footer like button plus UL and do padding 0, 0, 0, 30 pixels. And again, you could probably just double that rule up and do post footer reblog like so. And then if we have the two of them, and the post data, the date and notes, etc., etc., we want to do padding 0, 0, 0, 60 pixels like so. And what I'm just going to do quickly here is just going to tidy this up a little bit. So I can probably put all that into one rule now. Okay, and then I'm just going to take that through, update the preview, like so. And again, just enable the button just to make sure your changes are correct. There we have it. Okay, so that's the like button. So let's do the same for the reblog. Again, just copy that, change that word to reblog. Again, leave it as one because I want to display it. Back to your markup. Block if post reblog button. Now again, I wouldn't indent anything inside these blocks because when this actually gets added to the source, you want it to be one level deep. If you indent it here, it'll be 2. Save and then take that. Okay, and then just update your just check these buttons work. So take off the reblog. You should have the part on the left. That's right. And then if you take that one off as well, like so, and then you can just put the reblog back on, put the heart back on, and you can see everything's spaced nicely. There we have it. Now, let's start with doing these details in here. Now, these should be a little bit easier because we've already got the CSS up for them. So I'm going to do these all in one go. So copy that. So let's do if post date, if post note count, and if post tags. Right, I'm going to change that to stamp. So if we have the date stamp, if we have the notes count, and if we have the tags, so we've all set them up to 1 already. Again, we'll do block if post timestamp, if post notes count, okay, I'm just going to move these to the outside and leave the Tumblr default ones in the inside. Just so it's easier for you to see that these are now options. If post tags, like so. Take that. Okay, let's just see here. Oh, it's if date, if post date timestamp. Let's call it time, so let's just rename that. Actually, we'll rename that to time up here because that makes more sense because it is a time ago. So rename that to time. Like so, and again, just go in and double check that they all work. So let's hide the time. Okay, so the time's gone. And remember, we already wrote the CSS in a way that these could either be there or not there. Let's take off the notes. Like so, we'll put them back on. And then let's take off the tags. Like so. Now, the one thing I noticed very quickly there is if we remove the time, the UL obviously got shorter, so I'll just take that off. So what I'm going to do there is, obviously because of position absolute and these two, they're out the document flow. So what I do is I just set a minimum height, and the minimum height will be equal to the line height times 2. So let's just go to the footer UL. Like so, and then we'll do min height just like enable it again, just find out what that height should be. I think it should be 20, but let's just double check. So that should be 26, yeah, so it's double our line height. So, and then copying that in. Again, you'll come across these little quirks the more options you add to a theme. So as I said, just update your CSS to counteract them. And again, make sure that when you add your theme options in, that you are testing them. So let's just take off the tags now. As you can see, we don't lose any of the height in that UL. So that's the options for the footer done. Now, the only other option I really want to do is to do with the avatar, because some people won't want, sorry, the profile picture. Some people won't want the profile picture. So again, back up to these. I'm just going to tidy these up. And the final one, meta name if. I'm just going to call it profile picture. Set it to 1, like so. Let's tidy these up. And then we just need to find the rule for the image. Oh no, sorry, we need to find the markup for the image, which is here, and do now. These are I probably write a lot of booleans and a lot of color options. They're probably the most popular, or the ones I use heavily when I create a custom theme, and they can be used really for all sorts. So for instance, I've been using them for enabling or disabling certain media queries. Like I've had themes which get really large on desktop, and some people don't like that. So obviously they can then enable or disable them themselves. As you can see now, I'll just click save, that's the avatar disappeared. Let's just force a refresh. Okay, and let's just double check that, yep. So that's without the avatar, or the profile picture even. I will get that word right one day. So yeah, you can use these if statements for almost anything. Like, you could even use them to include a custom banner using the image appearance option to specify what that banner is, and then you could control it by turning it on and off. So you can nest in appearance options inside these if statements. The only real thing I want to quickly show you is I want to show you this the if not. Now the if not is basically like a false false. So if for some reason somebody decided that they didn't want to have their avatar picture but they wanted to display something else, like their custom picture for instance, or some custom text, you do block if not profile picture. So that is saying that if the meta, the for the if profile picture is set to 0, now the not has to go before the if statement. That's the only proviso for it. And let's just put in a sad face. Let's take that. Now you can use these if nots, for instance, the timestamp. So if somebody didn't want to use time ago and they wanted to use, basically you say you had two date formats, you had the exact date and then you had time ago. Now what you could do is you could allow a if statement for if time ago, and then if they decided that they didn't want it, you'd have if not time ago and then have a full date format. So that's a good example of using the if not. Again, if we take that off, as you can see now, we have a sad face because that has been classed as true here. So that's just an example of if not. And that's the example of using the ifs or the Boolean appearance options. Just going to remove that and just update the code. And let's just turn back on that of the profile picture, like so. Now that's pretty much it for this video. In the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick example of how to use the drop-down lists, and then the video after that will just be custom text. And then finally, we'll wrap up this series with a quick overview and we'll make sure that the theme itself is cleaned. What I'm going to do is I'm going to also introduce custom CSS and how to enable the mobile theme for mobile testing. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and again, I do hope you will join me in the next one.